I'm more triggered right now than I've ever been in my entire life. And I say that as someone who usually uses that word ironically. This is not a laughing matter. Not even a little bit. But I'm gonna do my best to not devolve into a bitter, angry heathen. So you've probably already seen this YouTuber on YouTube this week because everyone and their mother has done a response video to this creep. That is the beauty of YouTube. We self-police. Anyway, for those of you who don't know Omnipolitics16, he runs a pro-pedophilia channel and recently came out with this lovely train wreck of a video. Made possible because of the lovely concept of the free and open marketplace of ideas, which has since been taken down. And because of the free and open marketplace of ideas, I am free to absolutely roast this creep while simultaneously and utterly wrecking his arguments. The beauty of free speech. Now note, I know I've said before that name-calling detracts from the substance of the arguments you're making. However, in this instance, I'm totally and unequivocally within my rights to call this guy a pedophile and a creep, and anything under the sun that covers the scope of what that word entails, because, as you'll see, he has admitted himself that he is a pedophile. Also, second note, pedophilia is a serious mental illness, and bearing they haven't actually preyed on anyone yet, and they're not advocating for the sexualization of children, I take no issue with those suffering from pedophilia. It's an actual mental disorder that people suffer from, and those are the people who need all the help that they can get. This creep falls under the scope of the second qualifier that I stated, and quite possibly the first one as well. We don't know as of now. All that being said, I feel no qualms about calling him out.
My three main reasons why pedophilia is not wrong, in my opinion. The number one reason, children can feel sexual feelings. Yes, I know. These little shits right here can feel sexual feelings. Isn't that fucking weird, right?
While he's not wrong, children do experience sexual arousal, particularly boys when they are as young as an infant. They are usually too young to comprehend the reality of what their arousal entails. In essence, in interviews with children of a certain age range who have experienced such feelings, they described it as something akin to a tickling/tingling sensation. Also, public service announcement to any parents out there: if your son happens to get an erection while you're changing his diaper, it's best to just ignore it and carry on business as usual, because it will likely happen more than once.
They do have curiosity, sexual curiosity, where they're curious about genitals and adult genitals.
And he's right, children do develop a sense of sexual curiosity when they get to an age where they can comprehend the fact that their no-no squares are different from other people's no-no squares. Emphasis on the no-no square part. However, neither of those things would entail that children have the capacity to consent to sexual relations with you or anyone. They're figuring out body autonomy and theory of mind and object permanence, not, in which of these orifices can I play hide the zucchini? No, I already conceded that children do feel sexual urges, but they do not understand them as anything more significant than a tickle or a tingle. That is the reason why it's wrong. Because they can't and don't comprehend their sexual urges as anything more than tickles. Thus, they cannot consent to sexual relations with anyone. The fundamental lack of understanding of both the action and the consequences of those actions are the reason why they are unable to consent. And because they cannot consent, you cannot put your dick in a child.
It has been proven in this article right here. Now, the reason why I'm saying this and why pedophilia is not wrong is because people like to use the argument why pedophilia is wrong is because children cannot feel sexual. Now, my proof is this article.
Now, I tried to find that article using such keywords as child and sexuality. Do you know what I came up with? A boatload of articles about sexual abuse and rape in early childhood. I bet you had to sift through a bunch of those articles to find this one, this particular one. I also noticed that in the article under the column that says encouraging healthy development, it doesn't specify to have sex with the children. Go figure!
And I'll read it in a second. And also playing doctor.
Playing doctor has nothing to do with sex whatsoever. It's a motive pretend that's completely devoid of any and all sexual implications.
If you have hanged out with children before or actually interacted with children, they're curious.
They're curious about things like why is the sky blue and why does the grass grow, not what happens when we play bedroom rodeo. Yes, kids are curious about their body and lack a basic understanding of the societal norms that us mature adults have a grasp on already. But that doesn't give you the right to touch a child in a way that gives you sexual gratification.
Curiosity about their body, including genitals, touching their body, touching their genitals, including masturbation in public and in private, and no inhibitions.
Inhibitions. The word you're looking for here is inhibitions.
Around nudity, And yeah, that's to ages 0 to 2 years old. And now let's go on to toddlers. Ooh, the best part.
You can tell by that laugh and the, oh, the best part, that the discovery of this information, which in his eyes affirms his right to be sexual with minors, makes him giddy, and that's disgusting. Because who knows how many hours he spent in front of a computer screen ignoring story after heartbreaking story of a child who had been taken advantage of just to find the one little article that could slightly justify his thoughts and feelings. And guess what? We're only 53 seconds into this 5-minute video and I already feel nauseated.
Occasional masturbation. This usually occurs as a soothing behavior rather than for sexual pleasure. May occur publicly or privately.
Again, nowhere on any of that does it state that it is at all acceptable to belly bump with a 4-year-old.
Consensual and playful exploration with children of the same age. This includes playing house or playing doctor. That's what I just said. Many ask questions about sexuality or reproduction, such as where do babies come from?
If it were unclear, children do not understand the finer courtesies of adulthood that adults do. It's why we don't let them grocery shop, why we don't let them handle finances, and why we don't let them consent to sex.
May show curiosity in regard to adult bodies. Continued lack of inhibition around nudity. May take off the diaper or clothes off. Use slang terms for body parts and bodily functions. They're starting to know about the genitalia and starting to be attracted to genitalia. That's the reason why I believe kids or pedophilia should be legal, and also why pedophilia is not wrong.
I'm going to reiterate one more time for the people in the back. Children cannot comprehend sexual arousal and thus cannot consent to sex, which is why pedophilia is illegal.
Because kids are sexual beings. Like you and I. We're sexual beings. They can feel sexual thoughts. Using this as a reason because people keep saying the same thing over and over again. Kids cannot feel sexual feelings, which gets on my nerves. And then I show them this and they completely turn a blind eye and still say the same shit. So I hope some of you who are smart enough to actually watch the video and actually listen to me and read the article know that kids can actually feel sexual feelings.
The argument isn't that they can't feel sexual feelings. It's that they literally lack a basic understanding of the fundamentals of sex and thus cannot consent. I'm a little bit shaky right now, honestly.
Or I'm just talking about toddlers and infants for now. Number 2. People keep on saying it's a mental illness even though it's not.
Oh really? Where did you get your psych degree? The back of a cereal box.
Now, people like to use this reason why pedophilia is wrong because it's a mental illness. The DSM-5 considers it goddamn a mental illness. Oh yeah, you didn't know the DSM-5 used to also consider homosexuality a disorder, right?
Okay, little side tangent. Therein lies the problem with making that argument when trying to declassify gender dysphoria as a mental disorder. This is the prime example of why homosexuality used to be classified as a mental illness, too, is a bad argument, especially from a law standpoint, because then you've opened up a can of worms for these types of freaks that allows for pedophiles and necrophiliacs to get their foot in the door on the platform of reform.
Just because it's considered now a mental disorder doesn't mean it's fully a mental disorder. Now I'm going to explain why it's not a mental disorder. Reason number 1, pedophilia is natural.
You know what else can be considered natural in the animal kingdom? Cannibalism. I don't see you advocating for eating people. Yet. And you know what else occurs naturally in humans? Mental illness. They're not normal, but they are indeed and in fact natural. Assuming otherwise shows you have a fundamental lack of understanding of biology, which was obvious.
And unless that all animals share the same mental illness that is called pedophilia and also homosexuality, since this also occurs in the animal kingdom. It's reason number 2. Pedophiles are born with the mental illness.
That was a Freudian slip of epic proportions. You don't even believe your own bullshit. You're making a case for the future when your own sick, twisted behaviors get you into hot water with the law, and it's not working.
Or not mental illness, I'm just putting that in quotes. I meant the attraction to children.
You know, I don't actually think you understand what constitutes as a mental illness, so I'll spell it out for you as simply as I can. It's a maladaptive pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving that causes distress and impairs social and occupational functioning. When classifying a mental illness, psychology typically takes into account 3 questions. Is it a statistical infrequency? Is it violating social norms and cultural rules? Does it cause suffering?
Pedophilia comes from a gene, and also pedophiles are wired to be attracted to children. Like, it's something in the brain.
It is in the brain. Everything you think, feel, process comes from the neural connections in your skull.
But let's go into my third reason. Reason number 3. People like to use the claim that most pedophiles were abused during childhood.
No one is making that claim. No one has ever made that claim. You are making the claim that people make that claim on the off chance that you'll garner sympathy in the event that this video doesn't pan out the way you wanted it to. Which it didn't, because you deleted it.
I stated these reasons because these are my 3 main reasons why they're not a mental illness. Number 3.
You already said number 3. This would be number 4.
Why pedophilia is not wrong. People like to use the claim that children will get pregnant.
So, just because the potential risk in an area of consequences of your action has drastically been lowered by a variable, that makes it okay, right? Since you're such a deplorable human being, do I still get carted off to jail if I accidentally concoct a series of events that results in your demise? I'd still be carted off for manslaughter.
Now, when I'm talking about pedophilia, people really don't get the meaning of pedophilia. They really don't. Pedophilia is attraction to prepubescent kids.
Did you copy and paste that definition from Wikipedia and not read it? Because it literally says psychiatric disorder in the first line.
Prepubescent means before puberty. You cannot get pregnant before puberty.
We have a genius over here.
If you get pregnant before... if you get pregnant, then that means you're pubescent. You're not prepubescent. Prepubescent, you cannot get pregnant because you haven't even had your first period yet.
Thank you, American public education system.
People like to use the claim that, oh yeah, just because something is natural, we should not really do it. True. But people also like to say, oh yeah, animals eat their own young. Does that mean we get to eat our own young? These people have never done research on fucking animals.
Whoop! There it is, the moment I was referring to earlier when he utterly destroys his other argument about animals having sex with their own offspring being natural and thus okay.
I got a video right here. Go watch it. This is the reason why animals eat their young and their babies.
No one cares about animals eating their babies.
The reason why. Now, this is the most reason why people like to say this is because, oh yeah, this is natural. That means we shouldn't do it, just like pedophilia. No, we're not relying on our instincts no more. The reason why animals eat their young is pedophilia is natural, eating your young is natural. But eating your young is relying on your fucking instincts. Instincts. We don't rely on instincts no more. We're not cavemen, we're modern humans. Realize that, fucktards.
And because we're modern humans, we don't have sex with minors. Realize that, creep.
But yeah, those are my 5 reasons, I guess. Not 3 anymore. 5. 5 reasons why pedophilia should be legal and it's not wrong. And I am a pedophile myself.
If it weren't already blatantly obvious from the other 4 minutes and 40 seconds of this utter miscarriage of a video.
I am attracted to children. Well, in the 3 to 12 range. I'm attracted to children, and I'm not afraid to admit it anymore. I'm not gonna hide anymore. I'm not fucking scared anymore.
Okay, well, since you're not scared anymore, don't mind if the rest of the internet doxes your ass so that parents can be aware of the fact that you are a danger to their children. I'm not saying that doxing isn't wrong, but I'm also not discouraging it in this instance, because you reap what you sow.